Hey guys, welcome to The Geek Duck. I'm Josh.
I'm Billy.
And I'm Ashley.
And it's episode 11 on Survivor, Do or Die.
Yes, it is. And it's it's getting a little crazy on Survivor now, man. Getting a little crazy. Huh? We'll get into that.
Okay,
we'll get into that.
Well, the show starts off. Lyanna talks it out with Danny and Shan about what happened last week with Shan getting voted out.
Yeah, but I tell you, I'm going to give you a warning right now. A lot of people might not like what I say about Survivor sometimes. And you ain't
I think that's every time.
You ain't going to like me this week either. Time. You ain't going to like me this week either, so you be ready.
You better hope, what's her name, ain't watching.
Yeah, who?
Yeah.
Shan?
She's one.
Yeah. I love the look on her face this week. That was great.
Oh, boy.
So what did you guys think about that conversation that they had?
This was Ricard's plan. We were in the minority. They all turned on us. And we kind
How
of...
did they all turn on us?
They were going to
Y'all,
vote.
we cannibalized ourselves, y'all.
Well,
About Shan being gone.
I think it's kind of funny that she mentions, you know, that she was on the outside. Like, why didn't you guys, like, loop me in? Like, come on now. They're not going to loop you in.
Right, exactly.
Like,
Because then you're going to tell
Shan's your
Shan.
girl.
Yeah, she can tell Shan.
I'm glad it played out the way it did, but she's right. They did cannibalize themselves, like, you know.
It was not really a good move for that squad.
Right.
No.
Because now they're on the bottom.
Twist comes, you still have an extra vote and denied. It's true. I'll do whatever because this 4 is the 4 I want.
I agree.
It's been flip-flopping. Xander's picking up on it. He goes,
He's
I'm
like,
on the top now.
I'm the king of the world.
And he's like, I got a 4-strong alliance now between him, Erica, Heather, and Ricard. What do you think about this new form
Well, the funny
alliance?
thing is, we've been talking about that the whole time. Why aren't these guys doing an alliance? And they finally did, right? Finally freaking picked up on it and doing
Erica
it.
seems
But
a
you know-
little shady.
you know how
but
that
she
got-
stuck with it. She stuck with it.
But it was Ricard that was the catalyst to getting the
I gotta
underdogs
tell you, man,
back.
I am liking Ricard. Man, I'm liking that dude.
That
now,
was
man.
the guy you picked on in the beginning.
I hated that dude in the beginning, man. I'm like, dude, he's like Jaime Lannister in Game of Thrones. You know, they turned that dude around.
Wow.
I'm like, yeah.
All right. Well, then, how does Shan come off this looking bad and Ricard comes off this like roses? Like when he's the one who orchestrated getting rid of Shan.
Well, because Ricard was part, or excuse me, Deshaun was part of the group that was supposed to be tight with Shan, so that's why he looks like the bad
But
guy.
so was Ricard.
Ricard and her were like
yeah,
besties.
but Ricard was they were besties, but Ricard was still the outsider of that group, right? And we've talked about that before.
I like how Ricard
he
said Shan's cool with it. We were going to backstab each other.
Yeah,
He's like, I'm like, were you really that cool? Like,
he's like,
We knew. It was me or
She
her.
knew it
And,
was
like, we knew
coming.
that
she
was
knew
happening.
she knew I was gonna get her.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. I do think it's a little unfair heat landing on Deshaun and nothing landing on Danny.
well, we know Deshaun and her did not get along. Ricard and her actually kind of got along.
Right.
It was
Yeah.
just a
I
strategic move.
mean, they argued about stuff a lot, but they still, saw each other, and got along, with each other. So.
Yeah.
And that's kind of interesting because Ricard's a strong personality, and so is Shan. It's kind of interesting those were able to kind of
It was
link
a
up
very
and work it out.
It was a very unique dynamic between the two of them.
Yeah, and then Ricard was spot on though with the conversation with Danny. Like Danny came in there or excuse me, not Danny, but Deshaun came in there too strong, trying to justify himself and everything. He's like, dude, you don't got to do that. Just
He can't take ownership of the fact that he's all over the place, can't commit to any one person, and doesn't really know what direction to go to have a good game.
now you make yourself look kind of guilty, right, by trying to come in here with the justifications and everything.
Yeah,
It's like,
he does reflect on that, and he admits that he probably played that a little wrong.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. Well, you get a little emotional when you're called a snake in front of the entire tribe.
Yeah, that was what did it. Is like calling him, and I think he reflected on being called a snake, and I think he started to have some inner turmoil with himself and like the black community. Are they going to judge me for voting Shan out?
Right.
And I think he was having that go on in his head during this time.
But again, Danny did the same thing, and no heat was put on Danny.
That's true.
So
Well, Danny just went with the group because he knew at that point Shan was getting butt out anyway. He's like, there's no way I can save her, so whatever. I'm just gonna go along with the group in this one.
And he
So,
doesn't
he did the smart
let
thing.
that fester with him.
No.
So he just kind of like moves on. It is what it is.
Yeah,
All right,
he
let's
played
go.
the smart game.
Yeah.
Yep.
Today marks 25 years to the day of the passing of my father.
And speaking of Danny, like he reveals a lot about himself and his father this week, which is kind of interesting. He said his father died, I think, when he was 8 in a car crash. So what did you think about him revealing that?
Well, I thought it was kind of, an interesting take that he's basically been angry with his father this whole time.
I was kind of surprised by that.
For
because
25 years, he blames him for not being there, and it's like it's taken him this long to kind of come to grips with the fact that it wasn't his fault. He died in an accident,
Right,
you know.
exactly.
So, but when when you're 8, you never know how you really take things in and like how you handle that. Grief.
I thought it was a cool little share because, I think we talked about that last week. Like, Danny, we haven't seen nothing from Danny, right? No sharing. And all of a sudden this week we really focused on him and kind of him sharing a little bit of his inner turmoil. So,
and it was the 25th year anniversary since his father passed away. So he was having a little feels about that and reflecting on that, which was kind of interesting to see that side of Danny and him revealing that.
And it was cool to see all the little pictures too of him when he was like a kid with the football uniform and all that. And then even him as like an adult, playing for the Cowboys, and him and his wife, getting married and all that stuff. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I like that. So it was kind of nice to see that side of him.
It's nice to humanize him outside of the game. You know what I mean? These are people,
and he is pretty quiet and kind of reserved
lives,
in the game. Other people share more than than him typically. So it was nice to get that little piece.
Yeah, it was definitely cool to see that. And then the way things played out for him later, actually was ended up being pretty cool too. But we'll get into that.
Yeah, and then they move on to the immunity challenge. Just one challenge this week.
Yeah, no reward this week.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, and I was kind of wondering.
Has a little bit of
it was
twist
like
on it,
early
though.
on in the show too. Did that happen? I was like, man,
Yeah,
this
I was
is like early, dude. I was
huh.
like, what's going on here? Like, how? And then finally we realized, okay, what's going to happen to kind of drag the show out?
Choosing to participate in today's immunity challenge comes with potentially deadly risk.
Now Jeff reveals the danger that he's been talking about.
Now, it's not the danger you were thinking about.
Nobody got a finger cut off or anything. I was like, come on now.
It is the danger of your
maybe
game
risky more
coming to
than
an
dangerous.
That's the word. That's the word he should use.
Dangerous, Jeff? Come on, this ain't dangerous.
That's the word he should have used from the get-go. Risky, not dangerous. There ain't been nothing dangerous, man. Should use risky.
Yeah, so you want to explain the challenge and what the do or die aspect is? One of you two?
Yeah.
Ashley.
Yeah, with me. Okay. All right. So the challenge was they had to balance a ball, like it looked like a pinball, like from a pinball machine, like a little silver ball, on a piece of wood that you kind of pushed together with two other pieces of wood, and then in 3 5-minute increments.
5 minutes, yeah.
They would add another piece of wood, so that piece would get longer, and you had multiple pieces to kind of hold together and balance that ball on. And if the ball dropped, then you were out. Now, the twist, the risk here was if your ball was the first to drop.
Well, first off, you got to decide if you want to play or not.
That's true.
But he explained to them why they got to decide if they want to play or not.
So yeah, if your ball was the first to drop, then you automatically go to, like at Tribal, you're going to play
a do or die game.
A do or die game, which is you were either going to be safe for the week or you're eliminated and there will be no vote.
Mm-hmm.
And so everybody's just like kind of freaking out. And then he lets them know that, hey, you don't have to play the game. I'm going to give you a choice. You can play the game or you don't have to play the game. If you feel comfortable enough that you're not going to be on the chopping block tonight, then maybe you sit out. And then that way you're not put in that basically a game of fate, of how, if your game is going to be alive or not.
So 2 people decide to sit out here. Lyanna and Heather. What do you think about the 2 people who chose to sit out?
Heather, I get.
Right, Heather, yeah, I totally get. Lyanna, I was surprised about that. I was like, girl, you ain't safe. Like, what do you...
And I'm like, I hate this because I'm like, you got to play to win this thing. You can't just sit by the side, kind of like what Heather's doing. I mean, she's obviously going to get pretty far just because people want to drag her along because they know she's not going to win. But if you want to win this thing, you got to make some moves. And you got to play the game.
Well, but they both later on say their reasoning is, in the type of game it was and the history of the competitors, they felt they would be likely the first one to go. So they didn't want to put that at risk. However, Heather, again, I understand because no one's really been throwing her name out. She's kind of like flying under the radar.
Not lately, yeah.
But Lyanna just lost her ride or die.
When her ride or die was actually one that was earlier on throwing Heather out, trying to get Heather out, right? So
not only did she lose her ride or die, she lost her numbers in her alliance. I'm like, you need to play for this and just hope that you can hold on at least longer than the first person to drop. You know what I mean? So I was surprised she didn't play.
So especially when the women are getting shorter, right? Like you're starting to get big time out number by dudes now. You probably should have stuck it in. So
it's a risk versus reward scenario. You risk gaining immunity or getting kicked off and doing this do or die challenge, which you may be eliminated without even a single vote.
Mm-hmm.
And those 2 set out, and then Deshaun in 3 seconds drops his ball.
3 seconds.
Yeah, that was horrible. That was horrible.
Like, I mean, I don't even know how that happens. Like,
no, it's nuts.
Considering everybody else stayed on for a while.
I guess he just didn't have a good grip, because you're holding those pieces together with the 2 outside pieces. And so I guess if you're not pushing tight enough and don't have a good enough grip,
you ease up for a split second, then you're done.
Yeah, exactly.
And you could see between different increments when they added other pieces. I think Ricard changed strategies.
They were changing grips.
Yeah, they were overhand or underhand.
I wonder if that worked because I don't know if Ricard went back because like it wasn't working, or if he thought like, okay, I rest
I'm just gonna
part of
switch-
my
yeah.
muscles
Yeah.
there, so let me switch it over. I don't know.
It was a good strategy, man.
Because Danny
noticed that
followed
too.
suit after that, and he switched it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and one thing I noticed for Ricard too is when he was doing his grip, he kept his arms bent. Where I remember Danny and Xander
straight.
were like had more straight, and I was like, man, that's not good. But
So
Ricard
Erica was the
bent,
next
so-
one out, and then it was between Danny, Ricard, and Xander, which is kind of like no surprise.
And they looked solid.
Oh, all of them, yeah.
Like, I mean,
Initially.
yeah,
Initially.
you had no idea who
And
was gonna
Danny
crack
actually
here.
starts shaking first.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Danny was shaking, and you're like, all right, he's going to drop. And then all of a sudden,
boom, boom.
I think it was Ricard, then Xander, and it was like, Ricard drops, Xander drops.
It almost
And then
made it
was
seem
just
like Xander was like, I won, right? Because
Right.
like someone
Did
just
he
dropped.
forget
Like,
that?
there's another person.
that there was somebody else there.
I don't think that was the case, but
No. It was very coincidental. They both
I mean,
dropped.
Danny starts shaking first, so you think he might be the next to go, and he ends up winning the whole thing.
Yeah.
And then I think he like summoned the emotions from like he was experienced with his dad to win this
yeah,
thing
exactly.
and motivate him to get through it.
Yeah, he fell to the ground and just tears of emotion.
Yeah, and that's when he was like,
yeah.
hey, and that's when he was like, typically it's like I want my mom to be proud of me, but this time, man, I want dad to be proud of me, in heaven,
Yeah.
right? So that was good.
So I think everybody was pretty happy for him.
So
even though they didn't
Deshaun
get it.
has to face this do or die challenge. No one knows if he's going to survive that, so they have to come up with other plans just in case he makes it out of that.
Right.
And Danny approaches Xander and floats getting Ricard out.
Again,
Yeah.
like Danny's all about getting Ricard out, man. That dude's like,
Well, I mean, it's smart. You should
Yeah.
get Ricard out. I don't want you to, but you
Ricard
should.
is one of the most like dangerous players
Oh, well,
because
yeah.
and they
he's
talked
won
about
a
that.
lot.
Yeah.
His strategy's pretty solid, so like I get it. Like that's a person you might want to go after.
And
Right.
he's very convincing. He
Well-
seems to be able to convince
Oh, yeah,
people
he's
to
just-
do what
he's
he
a smart
wants without really manipulating, or just like he seems to get his point across to get what he wants done.
He's won 2 Emmys, 1 reward, and he's super likable.
Yeah.
Danny's talking to Xander, and Xander's like, I don't know, I just formed this new group. What's best for me here? He's like, I'm going to listen to him and kind of play along, but I don't know if I'm going to go with it.
right. And in the end, you could tell that he was not going to go with it.
Yeah, I didn't think so. But
Yeah.
then they go to Erica, and she's kind of like,
Right.
but what about Ricard? Maybe we
Yeah.
should take our shot at him.
Right.
The problem with keeping Ricard is he's by far the biggest threat to win the game.
But see, the thing Erica doesn't understand, the other 3 people in her group know that Ricard's a big risk too, so he'll be the first one they vote out of that group anyway. So
That's
like,
what
so,
they were. That's
yeah,
what
so
that's
Xander's
what I would be
thinking
thinking.
is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
'Cause
it's
I
like,
mean-
why, so like her concern was like, seriously, because you don't have, there is no need of concern there because you got the other 3 people in your group and you can just vote him out later.
I mean, the
So-
2 top dogs that are left right now are Xander and Ricard.
Oh, yeah.
So no way
Which is-
should Xander or Ricard want the other one gone at this point.
And,
Right,
and
exactly.
Xander knows that too. He's like, you get rid of Card, I'm next.
Next, yeah,
Right.
exactly.
And he's probably right about that because you get rid of Ricard, you still have that group of 3 there. Then it's 3-on-3, and then Erica and Heather. I don't know if you want those as your other 2 compared to the other side.
Right.
Well, and it's funny too because you always expected from the get go that Danny would be one of the ones that were just one of the beasts in this, and he hasn't. I mean, this is the
Yeah,
first. This is the
that's
first comp he's won by himself. So
And it's
pretty
not even
crazy.
really that physical.
Right,
I mean,
yeah.
I'm sure that requires stability, strength, and
I think more has to do with puzzles just about than anything. And,
Yeah.
and
A lot of it
lately
is, yeah.
it's been endurance. So
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's been crazy, man. But so I kind of wasn't getting Erica's. I think Erica just wasn't thinking ahead the way we are, and the way kind of Xander was, right? Like, hey, you got your other teammates that can vote, Ricard out with you, which would be the obvious choice at that point. So
Ricard's willing to go with you and take you further. So you got to
Exactly.
factor that in,
Yeah.
even though
Exactly.
he's a big threat. He likely has the best chance of winning this thing if the show were to end right now.
yeah.
But if I get rid of him, I could be next because I'm going to give another group more power.
More power,
You don't want to give
exactly.
another group the power.
No,
Exactly.
You just got the power from them. Don't give it back.
yeah, I mean, once you made that
Yeah.
Final 4 with your group there, you stick with that at this point.
Yeah.
At this point,
4
man,
against
this
3.
late in the game, you stick with that. Yeah, and you get those other ones out, and then you freaking start worrying about each other.
Yeah.
So they go to tribal council, and this is the last week for the shot in the dark as well, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Because
Only one
obviously,
person
as time
played
goes
that.
on, the odds even get better
Yeah.
Yeah.
that you may have it. So, but it's the last week for that, so that factors in. Like, do I want to take a
Yeah.
shot in the dark if I'm feeling like I'm not
Right.
safe?
Well, and the thing is, I guarantee, I think the people, the makers of the show thought that was going to be more of a factor than it was.
Yeah.
I mean, when one person used it, and nobody,
and that wasn't
so-
wise for her to use it.
right? No,
No.
it wasn't. No, because if she hadn't used it, she could have saved herself.
Yeah.
Did you get rid of your vote? But Deshaun has to first go through his do or die challenge.
Yeah.
And I was a little disappointed in the challenge. I
Yeah.
thought
So
it was
was I.
going to be like an actual competition type thing, not a guessing game.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, it's a game of chance. It
Yeah.
was literally just
I thought
pick
it'd be a
number
skill-based
and-
game.
It was like the Price is Right, man. All right,
Yeah.
what you want with door number
Yeah,
one,
so
door
we
number two, or
had-
door number three?
He put out 3 boxes and he said
Mm-hmm.
you got to choose a box. And in 2 boxes there's a picture of a skull, and in 1 box there's a picture of fire. Fire represents life in the game, so if you open the box with fire, then you're good. You open. So that's the other thing is like when he pulled out the boxes at first, I thought, okay, he's got a 50-50 chance. But then when he explained that it's 2 that
Yeah,
you're out
33,
and
yeah.
1, so he only had a 33% chance of staying.
Yep.
So, everybody's kind of like, oh, wow, because everybody thought it was like a 50-50 thing.
Right.
At least that's what you just assumed, I guess, when he explained it at the competition.
I would rather it be like he had to make fire under a certain
Yeah.
amount of time or
you go,
something
yeah.
like
Right.
that.
That'd
You
be
know
cool.
what I mean?
But
Let's add some
But
drama
I
to
like
this.
the way he added a little bit of drama.
He did.
Because he said, okay, so pick a box. And he picked a box. And then he's like, okay, I'm going to open this box. And when he opened that box, it was a skull.
skull.
So that means he's now down to 50-50 chance. And he's like,
not statistically. Statistically, in actuality, he's down to 66-33. So most people, it would have benefited you to switch.
He is in a statistics
Okay.
class.
Most people would have benefited.
Use that class word.
Like, statistically, he should have chosen the other box at that point, but he didn't, and so it ended up working out for him, right?
yeah. So,
But-
Jeff gave him the opportunity to choose the box that he didn't choose
Yeah.
of the one that's left. And he's like, no, I'm going to stick with this one, which turned out to be.
Yeah, it turned out working out for him.
Yeah. So
I think
But
you got to
Matt-
go with your
but-
original choice.
Yeah,
though.
Yeah.
But math would tell you you choose the other box at that point.
I don't know about that.
Oh, I would. You can look it up. Math would tell you choose the other box
Google
at that
it.
point.
Google it.
Yeah.
I think you still have the same chance because I
Yeah.
don't think your odds really.
No, you don't,
Change
man.
it
Look it
all at
up.
that point.
Look it up. I'm telling you right now, math would tell you to choose the other box.
I was a math major
That's kind of
once,
like me. Like if you flip a coin and 9 out of 10 times it goes heads, then should you choose tails? No, because you still got a 50-50 chance.
I want to hear what everybody else thinks about this on the comments. I'm telling you right now.
We need some smart people.
Math,
Is there a
math says
statistics
choose.
major
Math says choose the other
out
box.
there, like an actuary, somebody out
Well,
there?
guess
that can help
what?
us out?
Deshaun stuck with it, and he would have
won.
lost,
Yeah,
Billy.
He would have. He would
Please
have.
explain it in the comments.
Yeah,
But
he would've.
Deshaun chooses the right box, so now he gets immunity. So someone else, and then before this even happened, they have a discussion. And again, we don't like talking about the race stuff, but this show keeps bringing
Throwing it
it
in your
up
face.
over and over and over. So we're gonna talk about it because the
Yeah.
show talks about it.
This is the game that I love, and I came here to play it. But people don't understand that extra baggage that you bring into this game, and it's a blessing to have such a diverse cast.
So what do you think about that? Where Deshaun talks about representing the black community, and he feels this weight on him that he's got to be a good representation of the black
I
community.
think
stuff.
it is complete freaking BS at this point, man. Like, bottom line is, you're in the game to win $1 million. So you're in the game for yourself, first and foremost, number one. Number two, there's plenty of other people of color in that group with you, not just black people, but you also got Erica in there. And, and the fact that, and then the fact that this guy has the nerve to say this is the hardest decision I ever made in my life. So it's like,
well, I didn't agree
and,
with him
and-
saying. I mean, I'm sure he's blowing that out of proportion,
Oh,
but
it's
I'm like
big time.
this is the hardest thing
It's
you've
a
ever done in your
yeah,
life. Come on,
exactly.
man.
Phrase
Right.
he's saying it's a figure of speech.
It was absolutely ridiculous, man. And I think part of the, I get it. He was probably doing it for heartfelt, but he was probably doing it to get brownie points too. Especially for Shan, because he was.
I think it worked a little bit with Shan.
He did. He was. I mean, and I love to look at her face from the beginning. As soon as she sat down, she just looked bitter and pissed off.
She
from the
really
get-go.
did.
Oh yeah,
She
like the whole
really
time,
did.
man. So I think he did that to get brownie points more than anything with Shan, and it worked. I think he did. But I thought it was ridiculous. It was nonsense, man. It was freaking nonsense. I'm just getting tired of him throwing that crap in the face, man.
And
then,
everyone gives their
you know,
touchy-feely sentiments here on the
Right.
topic.
Yeah.
And Lyanna, she has a big speech about it. What do you think about what she said?
At the end of the day, everybody's got a story. Everybody's got a family, and everybody's got something that they dream to freaking do and to happen, right? So everybody's in this to make their own dreams happen, to make their own, to take care of their families and stuff. And that's what it's about. It ain't about color. It ain't about freaking who's gay and who's straight and who's this and that. It's about people, this group of people in there fighting to win $1 million to take care of their family, right? And and to make their dreams come
And
true.
everyone is playing for something, so I'm judging on what you do in the game of Survivor. I
Exactly.
don't care about that other kind of stuff.
Exactly.
Like it's kind of interesting to hear, but I want to see who plays the best in this game.
Right. Well,
and I wouldn't vote for anyone outside those reasons.
No, exactly,
alone.
man. And then when Jeff even...
Not when it comes to the game, no.
Yeah.
Right, and when Jeff makes it worse by saying, no, this is exactly what Survivor's about.
No,
It's about
I
this right
disagree
here. And
with
it's like,
that.
dude,
People I don't think tune in to hear this.
You know, there's a reason your freaking viewership's going down, Jeff, and that's why, because you keep throwing this crap in people's face. Yeah, absolutely ridiculous, man. That ain't what Survivor's about. Survivor's about freaking people getting in there and scheming and manipulating and making agreements with each other and stabbing each other back to win $1 million. That's what it's about.
And it's nice to see that everyone of every color, gender, and sexual preference
is all in there.
Are
just
capable of doing all
it.
that manipulation.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Absolutely.
It's called human nature, people.
Yeah, exactly.
But anyways, they do that, and then they get down to the votes, like right after Deshaun does his thing.
Mm-hmm.
And this is kind of interesting because they just like pitched all that stuff with Lyanna, Deshaun, and all that. So you wondering if this is like swaying anybody at this point. Because Xander even like is buying the night. He's like, yeah, I get it. It's hard for you guys. I don't experience that kind of stuff.
I liked his answer too, because I mean,
Xander's just a good
I didn't
dude.
like his privilege part though. Again, he threw the white privilege crap in there. Like, dude,
he did say privilege, but I like the fact that he can relate. Like
Right.
he can relate to the fact that he can't relate.
Right.
And I mean, and that's you can sit there and listen to the conversation and empathize or do whatever, but.
Right.
If you're not in those shoes, and in the roles, it's the same reverse. You don't know how it is to be someone on this side in this time of day. In this this type of
I love how
climate.
Xander doesn't really judge. He just tries to put himself in their shoes and be a good guy.
No, he was being empathetic, and that was cool. Like I said, I thought him adding that little freaking privilege comment was kind of stupid, but other than that, Xander is totally an overall good dude. You can totally tell throughout this whole season that he's just a genuinely good guy. He cares about people. And he's just trying to do the right thing, So, kudos to him, which is one reason I like him.
I think most of these people are probably good. I like Deshaun, but I disagree with some of the things he does and says and stuff like that. But I think he's a good
But he
dude
also
as well,
plays with emotion.
He does.
Yeah. And if you notice, the people who are playing with emotion aren't doing too well.
No, when it's funny because Ricard said that, right? Ricard's like, look, Deshaun is like all over the place. He can't figure out what group he wants to be with. He's bouncing around, screwing other people over, and is really biting him in the butt.
Now, because he is playing with that emotion because he wants to stay with his community and stay, but he knows that that's really not the best for his game.
Right.
So
I think he is a little
that.
distracted with that. Yeah. But I mean, Danny used emotion to his advantage, I think, this week though. At the same time, so it can be used as a strength, or it can be distracting and make you make bad decisions.
Yeah. And the thing is, at the end of the day, there's no need to apologize for any of it, right? I'm playing this game to play this game. I ain't gonna apologize for the way I'm playing it because I'm just trying to do what's best for me to win this game here.
Yeah.
So there's no. I mean, that's the thing that kills me too. It's like stop apologizing and feeling sorry for whoever this and that. At the end of the day, it's all a game. There's no apology necessary. You just play your game.
So they go to the votes, and Ricard looks kind of like awfully nervous at this point.
Yeah.
He does.
Especially after all this talk.
Right.
He's like, oh my gosh, I don't know if this is going to influence anything, because it's kind of between Lyanna and Ricard, like going into this,
based on the conversations, exactly.
Yeah.
And the votes kind of shake out that way. It's like Ricard, Lyanna, Ricard,
Now, leading
Lyanna.
up to Tribal, there was a conversation between Ricard and Xander about possibly using that extra vote.
Right.
And I didn't know if he was going to use that or not.
And it's all because of Erica, right?
It was all because of
Erica
Erica.
seemed a little shady. They weren't 100% sure in which way she was going to go.
And unfortunately, that really sucks to be in Xander's shoes because he shouldn't have to do that, right? Like,
Right.
if you're in my 4, at that point, we're all trying to agree to something, and you're kind of, being iffy about it. It's like,
Now, is this a brilliant strategy from Erica? She's like, I don't want you to have an extra vote.
Yeah,
so I want you to get rid of that.
Yeah, no doubt.
I mean, they don't ever show this, and the show can be manipulated how, like, what they show in film, but maybe she's thinking this through. I don't think so. And they didn't show that clearly, but maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. Well,
I mean,
again,
it is smart if she were to do that.
Right.
And in this particular game, it's like a little bit different than Big Brother because it behooves you to kind of stick with your alliance in Big Brother. And it does to an extent in this show as well. However, you are playing an individual game.
Right.
So like that was the whole issue between Ricard, Shan, and Deshaun was like, I am going to pitch this because this is what's best for my game.
Right, exactly.
But Shan never really was able to sell that to Deshaun as why it was better for his game, whereas Ricard could.
Well, and Shan wasn't even able to sell it to Ricard, right? She kept trying to pitch crap to Ricard, and Ricard's like, nah, I don't think so.
See, that's the other thing. I don't know where Deshaun is going with this. Like, what's your in-game strategy? You're just playing like week to week, and you're like, I don't like Shan, so she's got to go.
Yeah.
But you
But
got to
then-
think 2 or 3 moves past that. Like, what is that
Which
going to do to
Ricard does.
you?
Exactly.
Exactly. That's why
Ricard
that
is
group,
the best at doing that right now,
regardless
by
of
far.
what reasons, it would have benefited them to stay together.
Yeah.
Ricard,
I bet Ricard's good at chess.
Ricard is the best. Ricard is by far the best thinker this season. And he,
But that does make him dangerous and put him in the spotlight as well.
Yeah, because not only is he a good thinker, but he's also good at doing events, competition. So, yeah.
Yeah,
that dude's deadly, man. No doubt.
It'll be interesting to see
I
if
was
he makes it
worried.
to the end.
I was worried for him this week.
Because everyone knows, the people who are thinking ahead too go like, how can I compete against Ricard in the final 2? Because he's going to sell the story of I've done this, 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 and this. What have I done?
Yeah. Exactly, man. Like, hey, I got one of the biggest competitors out of this game. I came up with a thing, I was with her, ride or die. I came up with things to get her out, and look at all these events I won. And yeah, man.
People got to start thinking about jury votes at this point.
Oh, yeah.
I'm taking Heather with me.
Yeah, that's what I think most people
I will
should try
give
to
Heather
do.
second place.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
I'll take first place. Thank you.
Yep. Darn right, man.
All right, so the votes come out, and it's like even, but there's an extra vote that Xander uses, which wasn't needed.
Yeah, exactly. It wasn't needed. Yeah.
It wasn't needed, but he used it because Erica was there. So it was 5-3. 5 being Lyanna, 3 being Ricard, and Lyanna gets voted off. What did you think about Lyanna leaving?
Oh, dude, I love the look on Shan's face, man. She was just so disgusted, like shaking her head, and I was like, "Yeah, your ride or die's with you now."
Every time they pan to Shan's face, she looked
so
angry, bitter, disgusted, everything. Like even when they were doing the heartfelt conversations, she still had this like look on her face of, I don't know, it was very.
Yeah,
bitter.
I
mean, I guess the best
like
way.
Everybody else in the jury smiling, chatting a little bit amongst each other, and Shan's just got this, bitter. It's like
I have nothing personally.
Like she just bit into a lime or a lemon or something.
I have nothing personally against Lyanna, but I'm kind of glad to see that people stuck to their guns after that conversation. Because it's about what you do in Survivor, not about what you do outside Survivor. What's going on outside Survivor?
No, I'm glad she's gone, man. I'm glad she's gone now too. But I will say. I did like her after a little speech there, man. She's like, hey, it was a good game. I enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun.
She went out pretty elegantly.
And I like it. Then I like how she's like, I'm ready to eat. I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
So I did
I'm
appreciate
sure,
that.
like, all these people are really cool off the show. The game, like, makes you do certain things and behave a certain way.
Well,
so
when it's like Danny said that, right? Danny's like, hey, man, we all seem to get along pretty well here. We all got each other's backs. I think in the outside world, if one of us had an issue and we called the other ones, they'd be there to help us, so.
And the game does, like, encourage manipulating people and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah. You got to, man.
It's a game.
There ain't no way not to stick around.
It's kind of like Shan. She's a very religious person. I'd like to think she's pretty cool and open and honest outside. But, like, in this game, to get ahead, sometimes you got to, like, backstab and do some things.
Yeah.
Even though Ricard, I think, outplayed her, I guess, in the end.
He did.
So
it was great.
In the end, it is a game.
What did you think about the do or die aspect this week? Because we haven't really seen that before.
I'll be interested to find out if that's going to be a thing moving forward.
Every week they seem to do something a little different almost.
So
and I kind of like it that they're doing something different. I really like when they split the teams into 2 kind of last week. I was a little bit disappointed in the 3-box thing this week, but
it's kind of hard. I mean, I can imagine being a player, it's going to be hard to strategize. You don't know what he's going to throw at you. So how do you get your strategy ahead of time?
And he didn't say anything about next week, so I imagine next week's going to be pretty typical, but you never know.
You never know.
Exactly. And maybe they'll do an event where like it comes down to all right, the bottom 2 now are gonna fight it out for somebody to get voted, and they won't even be a vote or something. Who knows, man? But
so what do you think going forward? Does Shan and Danny even have like a hope at this point? Because they kind of like screwed themselves over.
Danny should really try to reach out to Xander.
At this point, I think that'd be tough.
Yeah, Danny already tried.
That's his only.
Danny already tried this week, and it didn't work out for him.
But that's he didn't realize how close he is to Ricard.
Yeah. Right.
You know what I mean? I'm not saying he should. I think he should really buddy up to Xander, and probably not push Ricard this week to buy some trust and be with them.
Right.
And then maybe push Ricard the
So basically, you're looking. Then at that point, that's what happens, and the only name out there is the Shan to lead next week.
Well, I don't think you need to like go after Xander because you're competing directly with him. So the real people you need are Heather and Erica to convince. Yeah. And you could probably convince like Xander's a big threat too. He wins a lot of competitions just like Ricard. So I'm like, do you really want to go to the final with him as well?
Right. You need. I think Danny or Deshaun. And I think Deshaun, no one's going to trust Deshaun. He's too wishy-washy. Mm-hmm. But Danny's only hope is to tie himself to either Ricard or Xander. And the reason why I say Xander is because he's already been with Ricard and kind of been like on the outs with Ricard a little bit, So that's the only reason why I say Xander.
When I tell you what I kind of thought was interesting with the after credits this time. Typically, we kind of get a decent idea of what's going to happen next week. This week, you really didn't get much of an idea, because I don't even think any names were mentioned. Typically, it's like, so and so did this and that, and this time they just kind of showed them for a second.
I would like to get rid of Danny or Deshaun, just because those two have been strong the whole time. So you want to break that group up, and then once you get rid of one of them, you go after Ricard.
Exactly.
Yeah, and then you get rid of one of them, and you don't have anyone that's loyal, really one-on-one.
Yeah, those two have just been so tight that that's risky leaving both of them because they seem
duo.
to play the same way.
Yeah, I think Deshaun needs to go next. Number one, because I'm tired of his freaking whining and crying and all of his nonsense.
How's he cry?
And
we don't need another one. Why did you encourage
Shan, I just don't. I know we're goddamn. But please vote for me, Shan.
It's not a Survivor episode without
Shan.
Billy crying.
Yeah, please vote for me, Shan. That's what that was all about.
Good job, Billy.
Yeah,
good job.
I think Reese, one of the viewers said, you cry a lot every episode.
Yeah, man.
It's nice to see you continue on with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, all right, man. But yeah, like I said, Shan, man. Shan's got to go. You know, I like Danny. Danny can stick around. Shan, I like, I kind of want to see Erica go at this point now, but at the same time, like we talked earlier.
Why do you want to see Erica go? What'd she do to you?
Because she's not, kind of like we talked about, I don't think she's a good thinker at all, man. She's just making decisions.
About Heather?
You know?
Yeah, Heather's worse than that.
Heather's just quiet. I mean, I'd like to see her go. My final.
And Heather doesn't even do anything competition-wise.
My final three that I would like to see in a final three would be Danny, Ricard, and Xander.
Yeah.
That's probably not going to happen, but that would be
that would be a very good final three because that would be a very good
awesome.
jury vote,
that would be
for them convincing versus having someone. A floater.
If they're smart, though, they won't let it come down to
right.
No, exactly.
But that would be.
But I would love to see that. So yeah, all right, man. You guys got any last?
Who you rooting for? This
I'm still rooting for Xander, and Ricard right underneath him. Yeah, and then Danny after that. Right.
Ricard is coming a long way.
And Danny after that. Yes, man. Yeah, Ricard's got respect, Ricard. Got some brownie points, man.
I like that. I like to see that growth. And change.
I'll be happy with Ricard or Xander. If it's anyone other than Ricard or Xander, I'd have to go with Danny because Danny hasn't really rubbed people the wrong way.
Mm-hmm.
He's strategized a little bit. He hasn't always been on the positive aspect of the strategy, but I think he's been the better player of the other four.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That are left.
Yeah, I don't have any hate for Deshaun or anything. I mean, it would be nice if he was
too
more competitive, but
I
want to see Heather go just because what are you doing on this show?
Yeah, Erica's done more than Heather.
Just a floater.
Yeah, I agree with that too.
Maybe they get rid of Heather next week.
Waiting for other people to make big moves. You got to do something at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a big move to get rid of Heather?
Well, no, that ain't a big move. But...
No, it's not a big move, but I'm saying Heather's got to make a big move.
Like we said earlier,
what if Heather wins immunity next week?
It would behoove them to keep Heather because they would want her as with them in the final two, right?
That's what I'm saying. That's probably why she'll go pretty far.
Sometimes when it comes
down
to
Heather
those
makes it to the final three.
Some of those jury votes, the jury gets a little upset that you've taken a floater.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you just wanted to pad your little your win.
Now I have seen people in the past choose a strong player to go to the final two with them, and they lose.
Yeah.
And I don't know why anyone would do that, but I have seen it just because they're like, hey, I want to play and beat the best. And I'm like, well, you're going to lose.
Yeah.
And that's what happened.
We saw that in Big Brother, too, right? When dude was saying, but he ended up getting voted, didn't even make it to the final two, so...
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's what Kylan was saying, and and someone else had other plans.
Right. the top guy.
Xavier's like, I don't think so.
That's not how I'm gonna play it.
Yep, exactly.
So.
All right, guys. Well, hey, another episode down. We're down to 6 people now, I think. So Stack's getting thin here, and we're looking forward to see who gets booted next. So hey, guys, please press like and subscribe. Let us know what you think, and please let these guys know how right I am about the freaking percentage there and how the math works out in favor to switch the box, because I'm right. So, hey, seriously, thanks, guys. We appreciate it much. Please like and subscribe, and we'll check you at the next review.
See you guys.
Bye. Lose your
gooch.
I want to lose my gooch.
They say, yo, man, you talk about people too much. And I say, that's my job.
That's your job.
Billy's like, did I make you laugh? Did I make you laugh?
That's right, I made you laugh. Smile and wave, boys. Smile and wave.
Women don't like to be told to smile.
Yes,
no. Mr. Beast.
Women don't like to be told to smile? I never heard that one before.
Oh, that's a thing.
Is it really? When did that become
Where's he been?
I don't know where he's been.
Is that new?
There's all these videos, people make mock videos now that housewives cooking dinner and cleaning up poo, just smiling. Oh, you want me to smile more? And they look all psychotic.
Kind of offended myself there. Yeah, let's do it again.
Hey guys, welcome to the
Oh,
Geek
I was looking over at you.
Dang it!
All right, go, man, go.
Hey guys, welcome to the Geek.
Dang it!
Dang it, Josh. Get it right.
That's right. What the hell's wrong with this guy?
Oh, man.
Hey guys, welcome to the Geek Duck. I'm Josh.
I'm Billy.
And I'm Ashley.
And welcome to the Geek Duck.
And we're here for Survivor episode 11. There we go. How about that?
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that.
Hey guys, welcome to the Geek Duck. I'm Josh.
I'm Billy.
And I'm Ashley.
And it's week 11, episode 11 on Survivor.
Which one is it, Josh? Week 11 or episode 11?
We're doing it. I meant to say episode and I said week again. And I was like, dang it.
Dang it.
You could have just rolled with it right there.
I tried, but you called me out too much.
I did call you out.
Too much.
To be funny, man. You could have freaking rolled with it.
We did not do the shout-outs.
You got Reese in there, though.
We didn't do the shout-outs.
You got Reese, though.
There you go, man. There you go. You got Reese. And he's the only one who's been begging for it. So
Yeah.
good.
You got Reese.
What about Lady Lane?
Yeah.
Lady Lane wants a shout-out.
Does not.
And
No
there's
shout-out.
like 7 other people that we don't even know about.